Hi, I'm Charis G. Samia, grade 12 to 31 from group 5. So, for today's video, I'm discussing you the basic ingredients in baking and its alternative and also the classification of ingredients. Speaking of classification of ingredients, we have two different of classification. We have the major ingredients and minor ingredients. So, the major ingredients is needed in baking such as flour, sugar, shortening, leavening agent, and liquid ingredients. So, the first is sugar. Sugar any of numerous sweet, colorless, water-soluble compounds present in the sap of seed plants and the milk of mammals, and making up the simplest group of carbohydrates. The most common sugar is sucrose, a crystalline, tabletop, and industrial sweetener used in foods and beverage. So these are the type of sugar. Number 1, granulated sugar. The alternative of granulated sugar is brown sugar. So guys, if you don't have the granulated sugar, we can use the brown sugar because the brown sugar is the simplest substitute for granulated sugar. You can use light or dark brown sugar as a 1:1 substitute. It makes for darker, denser baked goods with a more caramel or molasses flavor, which is the wonderful for classic chocolate chip cookies but less desirable for delicate cakes. And the second is powdered sugar. The alternative of powdered sugar is dry milk powder. And if you don't have the powdered sugar, we can use the dry milk powder naman. So for a powdered sugar, alternative that will achieve a similar texture but with classless sugar, try dry milk the powder. Milk powder. Blend 1 cup of dry milk powder with 1 cup of cornstarch and add also sweetener in desired and use this mixture in the same amount as powdered sugar. The third is the brown sugar. So the alternative of brown sugar is muscovado sugar. So if you don't have the brown sugar, we can use the muscovado sugar. And muscovado sugar is a minimally refined sugar that makes a great substitute for brown sugar because like traditional brown sugar, it contains molasses. However, the molasses and moisture content of muscovado is much higher than that of regular brown sugar. So the fourth types of sugar is the sanding sugar. And the alternative of sanding sugar is decorating and pearl sugar. So guys, if you don't have the sanding sugar, we can use the decorating and pearl sugar. So you can use decorator sugar and pearl sugar as a substitute for sanding sugar when decorating things like muffins, cookies, cakes, and scones. You can also use other coarse sugars in its place as well if you only want the texture and don't care about the color. And the last of types of sugar, we have the liquid sweetener and or syrup. If you don't have liquid sweetener, we can use the honey because the honey the flavor is slightly different but it also works with sweets or baking recipes like no-bake cookies or banana, blueberry muffins. Use honey as a 1-for-1 substitute for maple syrup. Thought it will taste slightly different.
Flour. Flour is a powder made by grinding raw grains, roots, beans, nuts, or seeds. Flour are used to make many different food like cereal flour and particularly wheat flour. It's the main ingredients of food which is a staple food for many cultures. Types of flour. 1. Hard or bread flour. Alternative for all-purpose flour. You can use all-purpose flour if you don't have bread flour because all-purpose flour is a versatile and general use wheat flour. It is milled from hard red wheat or blend or hard and soft wheats. All-purpose flour is suitable for all types of baked goods such as bread, biscuits, cookies, muffins, etc. 2. All-purpose flour. Alternative to bread flour or cake flour. If you don't have all-purpose flour, you can use bread flour or cake flour because cake flour lower protein means less gluten is formed as you mix the batter together. Less gluten formation equates to a softer, fluffier texture. Bread flour has a high protein content which means more gluten forms during the mixture process.
Soft flour alternative, pastry flour. Pastry flour is a low-protein flour designed to make pastry lighter and more delicate than those made with all-purpose flour. It's baked tender pastry, chewy cookie, and as an excellent solution for pie crust. Cake flour alternative, all-purpose flour. You can substitute all-purpose flour for cake flour when a cake recipe calls for it. When substituting a cup of all-purpose flour for cupcake flour, remove 2 teaspoons of AP flour and replace it with 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, which will prevent the formation of gluten and similar effect.
Types of shortening. Butter. Alternative G. Explanation. G can be used as a replacement for butter or oil in any of your favorite dishes. It cooks without burning, so G makes an excellent choice for frying eggs, making grilled cheese, and sauteing proteins for veggies. You can truly use G just like you would butter. Number 2. Lard. Alternative, salted butter. Explanation. If you're watching your weight, be sure to opt your unsalted varieties of butter whenever it's possible in your recipe. You can use 1 1/4 cup and 284 grams of butter for each cup, 205 grams of lard, which you can help retain the taste and texture of many different recipes.
Types of shortening. Margarine. Alternative, cream cheese. For 1 cup margarine, substitute 1 cup of the following: 1 cup softened cream cheese or 1/8 ounce black or reduced fat cream cheese, which has fewer calories and fat. Types of shortening. Oil. Alternative, vegetable oil. Vegetable oil can be substituted for another neutral oil like canola, sunflower, peanut, or grapeseed oil in a pinch. In certain circumstances, you can also use coconut oil, olive oil, or even applesauce. It's all about knowing when to use each substitute.
Ingredients. Liquid are necessary in baked goods for hydrating protein, starch, and leavening agent. When hydrating occurs, water is absorbed and the chemical changes necessary for structure and texture development can take place. Liquid contribute moistness to the texture and improve the mouthfeel of baked products. Ingredients: water alternative coconut waters and milk alternative oat milk.
Minor ingredients. These minor ingredients maintain the water linked to the oil base so that tortilla will remain moist and flexible for much longer. Some common emulsifiers are mono and diglycerides, native esters, etc. Molding is prevented when ingredients that reduce water activity are added. Vanilla. Vanilla essence is made from vanilla beans that have been steeped in alcohol. It's widely used throughout the world to flavor desserts like baked goods, ice creams, beverage, and custards. But some chefs use it as a secret ingredient in savory dishes as well. Salt. To most people, salt refers to table salt, which is sodium chloride. Sodium chloride forms from the ionic bonding in sodium ions and chloride ions. Spices. Spices are aromatic flavorings from seeds, fruits, bark, rhizomes, and other plants' parts. Used in to season and preserve food as medicines, dyes, and perfume. Spices have been highly valued as trade goods for 1,000 years. Wines. Wine is an alcoholic drink typically made from fermented grapes. Yeast consumes the sugar in the grapes and converts it to ethanol and carbon dioxide, releasing heat to process. Coffee. Coffee is a drink prepared from roasted coffee beans, darkly colored, bitter, and slightly acidic. Coffee has stimulating effect of human, primarily due to its caffeine content. It is the most popular hot drink in the world.